smart cost me my personality. I think intelligence or being smart or even just being someone who's incredibly hardworking can be a double-edged sword. If you're one of those people that can naturally just wing a test but still do really well, self-motivation and discipline comes easy to you, you've got your eye on the target, on the goal, and you can just make it happen. Like, you're willing to put in any amount of work to achieve that goal. Then chances are you're also the sort of person that's going to sacrifice your personality. You're probably going to sacrifice social gatherings, meeting up with friends, going to parties and pushing yourself out of your social comfort zone. You're working towards your North Star and you've got a vision on the future of who you want to be and what you want to achieve by 30, and you're in a rush to get there. But is it worth the sacrifice along the way? And what does this mean for your future friendships? Are you going to be able to connect with people as easily as other people can? Let's unpack all that and more in this video.
Yes, I did that.
Because I ain't got the fish shoes, blue. Yes,
And you would do it too for a check.
I think intelligence is a breeding ground for social anxiety. Social anxiety has so many causes, I'm sure. Like, there's literally a million and one things that can go into it. Not even just personality-wise, work-wise, but also like genetics and family and conditions. For example, autism and regular anxiety, I'm sure can translate to social anxiety. But I think when you're someone that's like really intelligent, or maybe even like someone that's hardworking, because you can be intelligent and not a very hardworking person, and you can be hardworking but not very intelligent. I'm convinced if you're like in the hardworking category, like you're the sort of person that puts in hours and hours more than anyone else, I feel like that's a breeding ground for social anxiety for a couple of reasons. One, because you're gonna sacrifice social gatherings and meeting up with people and being social just for the sake of putting in the hours. I've done it before. That's why I know it's a cause. That's how I know it causes it, because I've been in a position where I've been like trying to grow my TikTok, trying to grow my social media, which is ridiculous because I'm trying to grow something social online, like social media, and I'm sacrificing social interactions in real life, which is literally ridiculous. But I've had a goal in mind. I'm trying to grow my platform, hit 100,000 followers, and like I've sacrificed like doing things with real people in real life. Maybe it's not even a social media thing. Maybe you're working towards like a certain career goal or a certain degree. A lot of you guys I know from the comments are students, so like maybe you're working towards like your next assignment, your next exam, and like you're sacrificing like social things. That's going to be a breeding ground for social anxiety, because I feel like the less you meet up with people, the more anxious you're going to be when you do eventually meet up with people. I know for me, when I was like struggling so much with social anxiety, I put it all down to the fact that I just don't know how to interact. I joke about this a lot with my friends because they're like, that's autistic, like you have autism, Christina. And I'm like, I don't know, like if you don't meet up with people that much, you don't have that many friends to interact with, you're gonna struggle, because like you just don't do it that often. Like someone who does something every single day is gonna be a lot better at anything than someone who does it like once a month. And I feel like that was me. Like I was not going out to socialize with people that often, and I'm sure some of you guys can agree. Like I feel like if you have such a big vision of where you want to go, you just feel so comfortable sacrificing like social interactions, and like partly because you're disciplined, partly because you just don't see it as important, but I do feel like it comes back to bite you. Another reason why I think intelligence is a breeding ground for social anxiety is because sometimes it's easier to see the value in your goal rather than social interaction. And it sounds really minor, like, you know, it's important to be able to communicate and make friends and build connections. It sounds super minor and not like it shouldn't be a big goal of yours, but honestly, having been on the flip side of it as someone who's like got every achievement under the sun, like got into med school, passed my exams, I was in the top cohort at one point, like you can have all the achievements, but if you're lonely, honestly, I don't think it's worth it. Like whatever goal you want, literally the biggest dream you can imagine, I don't know if it's worth it if you're lonely, because how can you enjoy it? Like who are you going to enjoy it with? Like yes, you've got your family, yes, you've got your siblings. I don't have a massive family. It's literally just my mum and I, because I'm an only child and my mum and dad are divorced. But I just feel like if you don't have like close connections, like literally anyone, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend, like if you don't have close connections you can share it with, it's literally such a lonely thing, and it's just not as exciting as maybe you envision in your head whenever you think of the goal. Like it's not going to be as exciting if you don't have that like social network to share it with. Speaking of connections and stuff, I had my first enjoyable birthday yesterday, which I know is a weird statement to say, but I've made a video before about how I hate birthdays. Like I just feel so uncomfortable. Being the center of attention for me is just a bit of a struggle, just because in the past when I was center of attention, it was such a negative. It was like, oh my god, she's the only black girl in our school. Like I was in a school of like 600 people and I was the only black person, which to some people might sound like not a big deal, but to those of you that know, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and I struggled so much. That was literally where all my confidence issues insecurities, toxic work ethic began. Like, it all began there, and I just know it did. Anyway, because I was center of attention for such a bad reason, now I attribute being center of attention with just negative things and like negative coping mechanisms. But I've worked on that over the years, and I think it's paid off, because yesterday I had my birthday party, which is what this is left over from. I had all my friends round. It was a joint birthday between me and my other friend, and we honestly had such a good time. It's one of the things that I dreamed about for ages. Like, I want to be able to meet up with friends and have them round to my house and like just be super comfortable and not stressed about like, how do I look? How do I, like, am I being funny enough? Am I having like good conversations? Are they having a good time? Like, I just wasn't stressed about that, and I had such a good time, and I could tell that other people could as well. Like, it's one thing for you to enjoy yourself, but when you know other people are as well, it's such a good feeling. And yeah, it just made me think that like I've started off the year on a really good note, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm on the right track. Like, I'm making progress. Something else that happens when you're super hardworking and intelligent, unfortunately, is that you kind of sacrifice yourself for a goal. And what I mean by that is you might see this goal in your mind as this huge thing. Sometimes it's vain, like it's like, I say vain, sometimes it's like losing weight or getting a nose job. One of my friends is literally saving up for a nose job and a boob job, but sometimes it's vain. Like, you really want this goal and you kind of like see it as like, that is what you need to get. Like, you need to get that in order to like be the best version of yourself. Like, the version of you that has that goal is better than who you are now, which I know sounds abstract, but basically I think when you do that, you kind of like sacrifice yourself. You sacrifice your personality and your identity a little bit. Like, a really good example is for me when I was in school, like, only black girl, I felt so insecure. I obviously I didn't look the same as everyone else, which is fine, but then I was like comparing my appearance and how I look and my standards of beauty to like everyone else's. I'm not blonde and blue-eyed, I don't have those characteristics, so it makes no sense to compare how I look to that. But obviously as a 14-year-old girl, like, what are you gonna do? You just don't know. And what I did was like, my coping mechanism was like, okay, I'm ugly. Like, I onboarded that identity and believed that that's what I was. And then I was like, if I'm ugly, then at least I can just be the smartest person. Like, I have to be so smart. I have to be the smartest person. I have to get the top grade. I have to get all A stars. And then that became how I coped. And each time I felt insecure or I felt ugly, I felt like no one likes me, like none of the boys fancy me, like all these ridiculous things, I was like working harder. And honestly, that's where my toxic work ethic came from. And I think if you have a similar situation to that, where you've got a goal, for me it was to be the smartest person. I sacrificed myself in the process. Like, I was neglecting like who I was, my identity, and what I actually liked. Like, do I actually want all A stars? Do I actually want to go to medical school? Or am I just striving for this thing to escape like an insecurity I have? Because that's what I was doing. Like, I had a massive insecurity and I was trying to work my way out of it. And I'm sure Will Smith has said something similar to this. I'll try and insert the clip. It's because he said it really well.
I realized that even though I had achieved all those things, on the inside I was still that same insecure little boy that was trying to prove something, you know, to you know, girls that had cheated and to my father and all of that. And that you can't achieve your way out of your, you know, childhood wounds and traumas.
You can't fake it.
You can't fake it.
You can never outwork your insecurity. Like, your insecurity is so powerful. It's not insurmountable. You can overcome it, but just working your way out of it is not the way. And you know what? My coping mechanism was a double-edged sword, and I'm sure maybe yours is as well. No matter how you choose to kind of like cope with your insecurities or whatever goal you're striving for, because I think your confidence is built off of the same thing that can ruin it. For example, my confidence eventually started to grow into, I'm so smart, I'm so intelligent, I'm in med school, and my confidence was like all the things that I built up, which was amazing in some ways, because that's a better measure of confidence, things that you've worked for, rather than how you look. Because you don't earn your looks, but you do earn like hard work. So there was a positive element to that, but your confidence is built off of the same thing that will ruin it. So my confidence was built up by being hardworking and super smart, but then my confidence was also ruined by the fact that I worked really hard and was super smart, but managed to fail an exam at med school. I've posted videos about it back when I was posting like med school content, but I had an exam in third year. Long story short, I just was not revising in the right way. I worked super hard, but I was doing the wrong things. And despite the fact that I'd like lost sleep, was super burnt out, like put in hours and hours, I failed by quite a lot. And it was devastating. Like, I will never forget how much I cried finding out that I'd failed these exams that I worked super hard for. But I mean, crying and being upset about failing an exam is normal, but like it was like deep, because it was like emotional. Like that was my confidence. That was like it had become my identity. I'd replaced who I actually was with something that I'd like done to escape insecurity. My identity was now something different. It was like being a hard worker, being super smart. And then when I had something to prove that I wasn't, like I had that failure to prove that like, no, you're not smart, no, you're not hardworking, that like ruined me like massively. So I really think you need to be careful with whatever it is that you're striving for. Like this North Star that you've got, this goal, if that's becoming your identity, it's a double-edged sword, because I'm sure it can have positive effects, but like your confidence can be ruined by it. I was listening to a podcast with, I think, Jimmy Carr. He's a comedian in the UK. He's a really cool guy because he's a comedian, but he also went to Cambridge. Like he's super smart and really in tune with like human psychology, human behavior. I don't know, if you like my videos, I think you might like him. He said in a podcast, he was talking about how he did some tax evasion stuff. Like he was in the newspapers and getting like bullied online because he did some like illegal tax stuff. Anyway, his family, despite all the trolling and stuff, was like fully behind him. He said something like, even in the moments where you've done something awful or something awful has happened to you, like you are not the worst thing that you've done, or you are not the worst thing that's happened to you. So even though in those moments where I literally felt devastated, like my whole identity had been ripped away from me, like I felt like a failure because I had failed. But I remember listening to that podcast. It was after it all happened, so it was like, it was fully behind me, but I was like, oh my God, I'm not the worst thing that I've done. I'm not the worst thing that's happened to me. Just because a failure's happened to me doesn't mean that I am a failure. And it's just remembering that sometimes when you're really smart, like the title of this video says, being smart can like replace your identity or ruin your personality, because it becomes like all that you are. You just lose who you are and you think, oh, I get 100% on this exam, I am 100%. Or you get 50% and you're like, oh, I am 50%. Like it ruins your personality because it removes it. Because you place so much emphasis on other things like studying and like getting the grades, you literally neglect all parts of your identity. Like that's why I think it's really common for people that are intelligent and really smart to have an identity crisis. Like if you're watching this, I know some of you guys do have like PhDs, which is quite cool. I'm sure some of you guys have probably had like an identity crisis when like you finish a really big like exam season and all the things that you've worked for like months and months are done, and you lose your purpose. Like you have nothing like to like, what are you looking forward to? Like I know for me, if I've got an exam coming up, and you know we normally have like 4, 5, 6 months maybe, so for half a year like I'm focused on one thing. Like let me just get through this exam season, let me pass these exams, and that is my North Star. Like I am just looking at that for like half of a year, and then when it's over you're just like who am I? Like you don't know who you are, and it's because being smart replaces your identity. Like you don't have one anymore. And I'm a big believer, none of my videos have advice. I am not an advice giver. I am not a guru. I just think that these are topics that aren't spoken about enough, which is why I make videos on them. And I think as someone who's a hard worker to a hard worker, I just think maybe we need to work on like building up an identity outside of our achievements, outside of our accolades, like because it's not sustainable. Sometimes I find myself like when I achieve a goal and I feel a bit lost, like okay, I've got 100,000 followers on TikTok now, like oh my God, this is what I wanted for ages, like what do I do now? 200? Like you just go from goal to goal to goal, and I don't think that's happiness. Like I don't think that's how you become happy. I don't even think it's sustainable, because sure, it was fulfilling to work towards that goal. You had ups, you had downs, it was a bit of a challenge. I'm a big believer in challenges. Like I don't want a job that's like easy per se. I might regret that when I actually start to have like a proper job in July. Like I think July, August is when I'm going to start working as a doctor, so we'll see how I change my mind then. But I do like a challenge, and I do want something that like pushes me a little bit, but I also feel like really confident in doing it. And I think just going from goal to goal to goal, pushing yourself, and like I don't know if it's the way to go if you feel so like burnt out along the way. Like work, I think, should add meaning to your life. It shouldn't be the meaning of your life. The trap that we easily fall into, like you and me, people that work super hard and people that are super smart, like really like driven, is like you can accidentally have like work just be like your whole life, and that is who you are. Like you are working for this thing, you're working for your degree, you're working for your job, you're working for your social media. Like it just becomes who you are, and it's a bit romantic. It's a bit like, you know, oh, like you were all encompassed in this thing that you're working towards. Like it was your whole life, it was all that you could think of. It's like romantic in a way. It's that stereotypical story of people that are successful that are like obsessed with this vision that they have. Like you're obsessed with your goal and your vision. Like I think a good measure of how like where you fit on this spectrum is like if you took away the thing that you're working towards, if you took away your goal, would there still be lots of things to look forward to in your life? Like I know I'm working towards finishing my degree, and I'm super excited to finish the degree. I have I have a bunch of other stuff I think going on. Like I said, I had my birthday party yesterday. I'm making sure that I meet up with friends more now because connections are so important. And I make videos that I genuinely love making compared to TikTok, where I feel like I have to make them. And it's like I have to make study videos because I'm a study creator now. Like, it just feels like an obligation. Even though I'm grateful, it's like if you took away all those things, I wouldn't have an identity crisis if they all went away. Whereas before, like 2021 me, where like my degree was the only thing, if you took that away, I would be lost. Like, I would not have a North Star. I would not know where I was going. Whereas now I do. Like, my North Star right now is having like a meaningful life where I'm working towards something that's like purposeful. And that can be in the hospital, in my degree, in my videos, with friends. Like, I think that my North Star is something that can translate to all the things that I'm doing. It's not like in one domain. My issue before was that my North Star was in one domain, like my degree. And then it changed to like, oh, social media. Like, it was like, I have to have this many followers. I have to have this percentage on my exam. That's when you know for sure that you're working for like the wrong reasons. Something that's helped me a lot with this and like separating who I am from my achievements and my work ethic is just literally repeating to myself, like, you are not your work. You are not your work. You are not your work. I am not my work. Like, I am not my work. I am not the things I produce. I am not the things that I produce. I am not this video. I am not this exam. I am not this grade. Like, they came from me, sure. I did them, sure. I made it, sure. I filmed it, sure. But like, it's not me though. Like, it's so easy to say, oh, like that session at the gym, like that was rubbish. I'm acting like I go to the gym. I don't know what people do at the gym. I never go, oh, that session at the gym was rubbish. I'm rubbish. But like, no, like I am not the things that I do. I'm not the things I produce. Like, they're separate. It's so helpful. Like, I find that so freeing. As an overachiever, I feel like we battle a lot of inner demons. And I mean a lot. Like, the sort of person that achieves like really big things, like I'm sure you have done. Like, I know you have, because I've seen some of your comments. Like, I know for sure you're really hard on yourself. You probably doubt yourself a lot and put too much pressure on yourself to achieve the next thing and like literally never stop. But you need to watch my overachievers video. On that video I did a deep dive into just why we are the way we are and what motivates us and a bit more of like what's behind it all. So make sure to watch that video. But that's enough from me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.